Hojo Undo, or supplementary exercises, refers to specialized strength, conditioning, and body hardening methods used in both Chinese martial arts and in Okinawan karate. Okinawa has a long-standing martial arts history with China. It's through this relationship that these unique training and strengthening tools came to the Okinawan karate systems. During my research, I was sent a newspaper article that took me by surprise for reasons that we'll get into in a minute. The article is from the San Francisco Chronicles dated May 8, 1884. It describes two Chinese martial arts schools in the mid-1880s. In 1884, a journalist from the Chronicle wrote an interesting article about his visit to both of them, in which he mentions the type of training equipment we see in Chinese and Okinawan systems today. Quote, "Among the many curiosities of Chinatown is a Chinese gymnasium, curiously furnished with still more curious devices for developing muscle and improving general physique." End quote. It goes on to describe the type of equipment we see in Hojo Undo today. So, the reason for my surprise? Well, we have to change subjects for a minute. I've been trying to find the oldest martial arts school in America for some time. Now, the longest running dojo is the San Diego Judo Club, now known as the Arena. They opened in 1949 and are still in business today. Many people believe that it was Robert Triez's dojo that opened in 1946. Though he may have the first karate dojo, if you dig a little deeper, you'll find other martial arts studios existed prior. Yoshiaki Yamashita was teaching in Washington, D.C. in 1904, though he didn't technically have a school. Also in 1904, there was a number of newspaper reportings that Ing Sing Wo taught, and I quote, in an attic in Fish Alley. Then I find that there were jiu-jitsu groups teaching in Hawaii near the turn of the century, though Hawaii wasn't a U.S. state yet. That didn't happen until 1959. Now there's evidence of at least two kung fu schools in San Francisco in the 1880s. What's more interesting is that the article goes on to talk about how the schools have been there for some time. This was groundbreaking for me, as I now had definitive proof that there were martial arts being taught over 60 years before Robert Triez opened his doors. This is all for a future video. Now let's get back to the subject at hand. Though most karate systems do some type of strength training, Goju Ryu and Uechi Ryu are most well known for their use of Hojo Undo. The Hojo Undo equipment we see in Goju Ryu was brought back to Okinawa by Higaonna Konro. Higaonna learned from Ryu Ko while he was in China. Later, Choji Miyagi formalized Hojo Undo as part of the Goju Ryu curriculum and added the Kongoken. Hojo Undo doesn't always mean the use of equipment. As we see in Uechi Ryu, it can also be a form of striking exercises used to increase strength and conditioning. Several techniques found in Hojo Undo of Uechi Ryu were taught by Kanban Uechi as individual techniques that were not seen in the original kata. Most were modified and found their way into the 5 added kata authorized by Kanai Uechi. Though Uechi Ryu does have extensive use of training equipment as well. Okinawan martial artists have adapted these tools, creating unique implements using fire, stone, and iron. Karateka used this type of training to develop powerful strikes, rooted stances, strong grips, and hardened limbs. The basic idea was to be able to block and strike without injury. After World War II, many karate masters began to modernize training for a broader audience, and some of these training methods began to decline. Though masters like Kanai Uechi and Eiichi Miyazato both maintained dedicated rooms with these tools. As I discussed in a very brief history of Goju Ryu, Miyazato inherited Choji Miyagi's Hojo Undo equipment. Choki Matobu and many others were known to use this equipment as well, but Goju Ryu and Uechi Ryu preserved it in a more systematic format. Today, most karate styles emphasize Kihon, Kata, and Kumite, but traditional schools still continue to practice Hojo Undo as part of their curriculum. Some tools, like the Makiwara and Chiichi, are still widely used, while others are reconstructed more for historical preservation. I think it's fair to say that Hojo Undo reflects Okinawa's resourceful martial culture, as everyday items like farm tools, jars, and stones could be repurposed as training devices. These are my resources and recommended reading if you want to learn more about the history and practice of Hojo Undo.